Hello everybody. Hope you all had a nice New Year's. And now things start off pretty interesting for 2026. A lot of people have lost their health insurance or don't know what the fuck to do with that. But also, just like everybody, on January 3rd, well, Saturday, January 3rd, just like everybody, I woke up with the news that we conducted military operations in Venezuela to remove Maduro, and even though the administration says that it was this law enforcement operation, it was literally a military operation, because when you send F-35s, F-18s, and Blackhawks into another country with Delta Force, and you take out military targets within that country, that is a military operation, without doubt. It's just like these boat strikes that they have been doing for the past several months. They say that they are taking out narco-terrorists, when in actuality they are committing murder on the high seas. Yeah, they don't do good when it comes to lying, do they? And we know what this is all about. It isn't so much about regime change, because the regime is still in place. It has everything to do with the oil. Seen that in press conference that they had on Saturday. Trump mentioned oil 25 times. Yeah, it's all about the oil. Natural resources. Which was something that Iraq was all about. It wasn't about anything else. So, and yes, according to the Venezuelan government, yes, we are at war with them. It took some time also to watch, and I know that this is something that most people don't watch, but I had to watch some of it, and that's the UN Security Council meeting that was held the other day. Very interesting, because I knew that Russia and China, they even put out statements condemning, just like all the other countries condemned what the U.S. did with the military action. But they also demanded that Maduro be released and returned to Venezuela. Okay, fine. Hey. That's what they want. They're not going to get it, because Trump and his people are steadfast against that. So that leaves that at kind of an impasse. But the other members You see, on the Security Council, you have 5 permanent members, which is U.S., UK, France, Russia, and China. UK and France condemned the military action, but they supported the taking of Maduro. But they also said that, the choice of democracy is up to the people of Venezuela. The 10 non-permanent members, they were in the same kind of light too, saying, hey, military action was not a good thing. It presents problems and issues. You guys obviously did not follow the laws and basically fucked up. Though, there needs to be a peaceful transition in power from an authoritarian dictatorship to a democratic status for the Venezuelan people. Which we would all have to agree that is necessary for the people of Venezuela. Which is, that in itself is a very complicated issue in itself. What Trump wants is a very compliant regime that he can control. That's what he wants. So yes, when Venezuela has their elections in the next few months, fully expect the U.S. government to heavily meddle in those elections in one form or another. But also further be increasing pressure with Venezuela on all fronts. That's what I would be looking for. The other thing is what he has said again about wanting Greenland. And that has a lot of Europeans nervous, and has the folks in Denmark and in Greenland concerned. And for good reason and cause. Especially seeing that Denmark was one of the original founders and signers to NATO. And Trump keeps on putting out this rhetoric of that we need Greenland for national security purposes. That in itself is a fallacy. And that's because we have an air base in Greenland. I know that for a fact because my stepdad, at the time we were stationed here at the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base, he spent 1 or 2 times doing TDY at that base in Greenland. So, and that base is still active. So when it comes to national security issues, that is irrelevant. What he is referring to in his mind as national security is the minerals. That are there in Greenland. Just like the oil that is in Venezuela. That is what he's referring to as national security. And that plays into the whole thing when it comes to China restricting the export of rare minerals. So, and that also plays into what Trump mentioned during that press conference on Saturday when he brought up the Monroe Doctrine. And for those that don't or are unaware of the Monroe Doctrine, that dates back to 1823 when President Monroe, that is President James Monroe, and his speech to Congress concerning European efforts to reclaim territory that was formerly of Spain. And creating this hemisphere of influence where there is this divide between the old world and the new world, between the Western Hemisphere and the Eastern Hemisphere, where any influence coming from Europe into the Americas is considered to be a threat to the U.S. The U.S. would not get involved in any European affairs or wars. Hence, Europeans would not get involved with any affairs in the Americas. This also laid the foundation for what is now regarded as America's manifest destiny, which is also a bunch of fucking bullshit. Because that came about during the opening of the West. And we know from history that that did a lot of freaking damage to the indigenous population. Not to mention those of Spanish heritage living in that part of America these days, that can trace their roots back to the 1700s, when that part of the Americas was part of Spain. What Trump and his people are wanting to do is recreate that past in today's present. And in the 20th century, that has been proven to be disastrous. It has been the impotence, not the complete cause, but the impotence for World War I and World War II. It is the basis of isolationism. And this whole America First shit that Trump and his people go on about and preach about and all that, that is isolationism. Literally, that is isolationism. The Heritage Foundation put out Project 2025 back in 2024, as we all know. It is a hefty read. I have downloaded it, I have skimmed through parts of it, I have stopped to read parts of it. It's a very telling piece of document. And we have seen it throughout 2025 being implemented. We are continuing to see it implemented, even right now, with the continuing ICE raids and deportations, the continuing wanting to crack down on free speech, putting fear and intimidation into organizations and law firms, and into the people. A couple months back, when I was watching Dateline White House, and some folks may be familiar with the show, and I have to say, I really like Nicole Wallace. She's a very fine presenter and reporter. She, at the end of that show, she put out suggested reading, and that is this. National Security Strategy, released in November of 2025. It's a, you can say, a good comprehensive what this administration plans on doing. And it does mention the whole hemispheric realignment. And it is for the Western Hemisphere, something that is not good. Not for us, not for Europe, not for Asia, and definitely not for the world. It is a dangerous document. Project 2025 is a dangerous document. Both of them are extreme. As we all know, Project 2025 is an extremely dangerous document. It is literally an authoritarian document. This here is a document unlike any national security document I have ever read. It is dangerous. And I recommend people read it and understand it. This is what they're using, both internally and externally. And they do detail the whole thing. Venezuela is just a start. Trump wants Greenland before the end of this term. Take it seriously, folks. I will be back to talk about other things. Until next time, have a nice day.